Hey, our awesome Pacesetters. We're excited for you to be on our video clip today. Jen and I have come together to record this before we head off to Nashville because we're going to have so much fun there. And I know that all of you are on it, and getting all of your challenges done for the last 2 weeks. This is going to be the third week into Pacesetters, so this is always going to feel like the time when you're really thinking, oh, okay, I've got to really kick it up a notch and keep yourself disciplined and so on. So I just want to start off first by kind of talking about what Jen and I have encouraged you to do the last couple of weeks and what your challenge was for this last week. I do want to remind all of you that if you didn't get me your, what was the name of that? Emotional management.
The paragraph.
The paragraph that you were supposed to write. If you didn't get that into us, would you please email that to us? We got the bulk of that from everyone, but we didn't get it from every single solitary person, and we'd love to read through those. And so there's a method to our madness. We really do need that information in front of us so we can better help you and serve you. So this last week, your challenge was to, your homework challenge was how to team build. Is to watch the video clip on Roy Mattis. And you were supposed to practice the dialogue that she gave you, and you were supposed to practice, because if I called on you at this event, then you were going to be able to smoothly and adequately go through that just as if you were in a party. So I want to tell you that, did you do that? Did you practice? Because what we're going to be doing, since you're not going to be live and in person with us, and I'm not there to call on you, Jen and I are going to follow up with each and every one of you, and we're going to have you share with us how you would do that in a party and putting that dialogue in. So I want you to be super prepared and to feel like you have got it down. The best consultant out there gets that way by practice. And of course, in our business, you get to do a lot of that in the field, but you want to rehearse it, you want to memorize it, and you want to say it to where it is beyond smooth. Your activity challenge for the week was to hold 3 appointments this week. It was to book 5 new appointments, and one of them had to be through a referral, and one of them had to be through a business card lead. And our reasoning there is we want you stretching and stepping out and trying different ways to meet people and get new leads, and step out of your comfort zone just a little bit so that you're executing this. In fact, I remember when Jen had to first start calling referrals. In fact, for a long time you didn't. We should have shared that.
Right.
But she had a large circle of influence, and so she really didn't even play the referral game for months and months and months, even though we had talked about it quite a bit. And so then when she kind of came to a place where she needed more leads, she was like, oh, I wished I had played that referral game like you had me do. But I remember she was a pretty seasoned consultant by that time, at least in car qualification. And I was encouraging her to call those referrals, and that was a little bit nervous for her. So my point there is she was already good at holding parties. She was already good at what she did. And so anything new that you incorporate is always going to have that little bit of tingly to it. But then after she started calling referrals, Jen was like, oh, I love this. And yes. I don't know what that was. But so the computer made a noise. Anyway, so we want you stepping out, and we want you trying these things so that you have a large amount of skills that are within your comfort zone that you can feel good that you've done. So, and we also wanted you getting the 30 referrals from your party, and then selecting 3 women from your parties this week that you want to share the business opportunity with. And I just want to tell you that the basics of Mary Kay, the way that I was trained 25 years ago, the way that Jen trains now, it works. If you just will do the steps as we teach, you should be selecting 1 to 2 people from every single party that you want to share the business opportunity with. The 2 best people that you're excited about that you want to share the business opportunity with. And so I hope that you've done that. And when you share with us your homework in the recruiting portion of the dialogue. You're also going to share with us who those 3 people are. Some of you have probably already done your interviews with your director, but if you haven't, we're going to go back and clean up your work. You know how a lot of my thought process last week was, follow up and follow through. Your sharper image would be prepared for success wherever you go. So your purse is packed and ready with samples, business cards, pen, looking sharp, and being a sharp, savvy businesswoman. And I love that on the boxer this week, many of you affirmed both in text and verbally that you're a sharp, savvy businesswoman, and you're affirming that so that you're changing the way that you think about yourself. And then your self-care this week was to pamper yourself with a new haircut color or style. And we didn't really get to talk any about that last week. I know we didn't discuss this in advance. And this feels a little weird, girls, video recording this versus chatting with you at the Pacesetters. So we'll just be Jen and Colette as normal. We're thinking about starting our own television program.
Coffee talk.
Yeah. So I'm going to have Jen talk about why the overall image is so important, and hairstyle is part of that. It isn't just our makeup, and it isn't just the clothes that you wear. It's the overall image. So maybe take 5 minutes.
Okay.
Because we were going to cover that last week.
Okay. All right. So let's, you guys, the biggest reason for the self-care and the image, the sharper image that we're trying to incorporate into this Pacesetters program is you only have one chance to make a first impression. And so we want everyone to be that sharp, savvy businesswoman. Last week, Colette had you guys say that I'm a director in training. Right now, I'm a director in training. It's just part of that growth process, kind of like what we talked about. If you're looking for a stylist, or you're trying to decide what a good haircut would be for you, you want to go to somebody who is a little bit seasoned, and she's going to be able to tell you what's going to look good on you. Everybody's face shape, exactly what we're teaching as beauty consultants as far as their makeovers go, with contouring their face, their eyes, all of those things. The same thing is going to apply with your hair. Everybody's face shape is different. There's going to be different cuts that are going to look the very best on you. There's going to be different color that is going to be very complementary to your skin tone. Dramatic and drastic is not always best and not always professional. Before Mary Kay, I had really, really blonde hair, and I had fuchsia streaks right in the very, very front. And it's not that, that was me. It's very much my personality. But as far as professionalism goes, you're not commanding that respect that you could with something that's going to be a little bit more professional. So when we say, if you haven't got a compliment on your hair in the last 8 weeks, obviously I was in that industry before, so I look at everyone's hair. And so it's just something that we're encouraging you to do. You don't have to spend a gob of money on it, but you do want to take the time to find somebody who's going to be able to give you the look that you're wanting. I would suggest that you go on Pinterest, and but I'd also caution you about that too. One of my pet peeves as a stylist was when people would bring in a picture and say, hey, I want my hair to look exactly like this. It's never going to happen that way, just so everybody knows, because your face doesn't look exactly like the person's in the picture, and your hair is probably a lot different than hers is. They can give you something similar. So I would look at the length of hair that you would want, and I would also look at like color choices that you want. But I would go in there wanting to have a consultation with her, asking her, I'm really trying to create an image of professionalism. I'm wanting to create an image of, creating that self-awareness of I am a sharp, savvy businesswoman, and having your hair done. If you look at the nationals, if you look at the top sales directors, they always look all put together, but that doesn't happen on accident. They're very on purpose with that look. So I'd encourage everybody to look for a stylist that's going to help you achieve that. So.
Because it's the whole package, ladies. I mean, right down to your pen. And the reason that we really emphasize image as much as we do, because the first week I had you all come in a black skirt, a suit jacket. This week we wanted you packing a purse, being prepared for success, taking some extra time to find a perfect hairstyle for you that looks classic, that looks sharp, is because, you never have a second impression to make a first impression, or second time to make a first impression. It's super important. Image is important. You're in the beauty business. And when you're in the beauty business, if you want someone to respect you for your beauty advice, they've got to be able to look at you and say, wow, she's really put herself together. And it isn't just about looks, it's about the overall sharpness that you are able to put together. Because I am here to tell you that people will listen to you more when your overall image is put together. When they walk into a beauty or a party and you're there and there's other guests there should be no question who the beauty consultant is when someone walks into that party. They should be able to zero her out like that because she is that sharp, that professional. And everyone wants to be on the team of someone who's got that little extra something something that makes you want to be with her. And you want to portray an image that you are going places, you're doing things, and come with me and I'm going to help you to be successful. And image is part of that. There's two ways to communicate, verbal and nonverbal. Last week, Jen did a fabulous job training on booking, all the verbal communication and the energy. But if you can actually have the two things contradicting each other, meaning your verbal communication, you're saying the right things, your energy level, but maybe I've actually seen it where we don't have the whole package put together, so your nonverbal is not matching what your verbal is saying or your body language, and it's important to get the right result. You want to have both, right? So your nonverbal communication before you open your mouth should speak and reek success. If you want to attract more success to you, then walk the part and talk the part before you get there. Okay, so Jen is going to talk to you a little bit about, your I story at a party because, we, the 4-point recruiting plan, which we're going to come back to here in just a minute, but one part of the 4-point recruiting plan is having a crackerjack I story. And you'll hear a lot of seasoned professionals in Mary Kay and national sales directors maybe call it a crackerjack recruiting story or I story. And the reason they call it Cracker Jacks is it's quick, short, sweet, and energy and a cracker. That's just an expression, a Cracker Jack I story. And so Jen's going to talk to you about what that should look like and sound like, and we're both going to chime in just a little bit together on that. But it's huge. It's really, really important to your party presentation. So last week you learned in your homework that you need to have a way to ask them for the interview, and you watch the video. Well, now we want you to have personalize it with your own I story. And so Jen's going to give you some tips, and I want you to have pen and paper in hand as she's doing this, and I want you to write some notes down because it's going to be part of your homework this week.
Okay, so I feel like the I story is a very, very crucial part. You're planting seeds for recruiting. You're also selling yourself to them. You can take anybody's I story because I've heard consultants say, well, my story isn't the same as yours. Of course, it's not the same. Everybody's is going to look different.
Well, yeah.
But I could take, and Colette could take, and the directors, we could all take somebody's I story. We could tell it with no enthusiasm, no charisma, no passion, no vision, and it would say one thing. And then we could take the same exact story, implement charisma, vision, passion, all of those things. It's not about, the story itself, you guys, is not what's going to be moving in your parties. It's the passion level that's connected to it. Everybody's journey looks different. So you're trying to connect those people to you in some way. Now, I will tell you, it shouldn't be all about you. So if your I story is taking like 10 minutes in your party, that's way too long. In my parties, I try to get to know everybody a little bit before, and then I tell them, okay, so I do want you all to know a little bit about me. So I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about my journey, and then I just go right into it. So with your I story, I really feel like it's important that you tell them what and where you were before Mary Kay. So I was a cosmetologist. I worked 2 days a week at the salon. I have 2 kids. At the time, they were 4 and 1. My husband had a construction business. So I kind of paint a visual of where we were. We were in the process of losing everything. So I kind of break that down for them a little bit as well. So they kind of understand where I was, that I was truly a hot mess before Mary Kay. And I say, and Mary Kay was nothing I ever thought that I would do, which is 100% true. It got put in my life at a time that was very, very crucial. And I'm a firm believer that everything happens business for a reason. And so I make sure to paint that vision. So it's important for you to tell them where you were before Mary Kay. And then I feel like it's also important for you to kind of implement a few things of maybe the things that almost held you back. I thought Mary Kay was for little old ladies who drove pink cars and drove pink cars and sold pink jars. That's what I say in all my parties.
But you already knew me. I didn't have blue hair.
Yeah,
I wasn't an old lady.
but I thought Colette was the exception. Honestly, I thought that she was the exception, but I just didn't have like a solid base what Mary Kay was before. And so it's important that you are really giving them a vision of where you were before, and then you're going to go forward. So Colette taught me early on that it's about feel, felt, found. So this is kind of where I was before Mary Kay and how I was feeling and how I felt about everything. And then this is what I found since I've been in my Mary Kay business. So these are the reasons why I decided to pursue it. And part of my story is, we had lost our cars. So we went from 4 vehicles to 1. So we needed a car. We needed a vehicle. So when Colette shared with me that I could earn a free car with Mary Kay, I was thinking, oh my gosh, could that really happen? And yeah, right, nobody really does that. But it really gave me this hope that something could be different. And I share that in my story. So I share with them, where I was, the very first thing, why I decided to start my Mary Kay business, and what I found since, and since then I earned my first free car in 5 months. I earned my second car within the first year. And then, now I've earned my 4th car. And then I tell them where I'm going. So where you were before, why you decided to start your Mary Kay business, what you found since, and where you're going. Because everybody wants to follow someone who knows where she's going. So in my story, what I say, and now what we're doing is we're actually building a national area. Now I know you all don't know what that means, but there's not a national sales director in Idaho. There never has been. So I try to create that vision of what a big deal this is. What a big deal it is. So I'm bound and determined to be one of the first, or if not the first national in the state of Idaho. Isn't that awesome? And then I always do a statement at the very end of my parties, and I say to them, so I personally want to thank, and I look every single one of those women in the eye, and I say to them, I personally want to thank every single one of you for being here, because you actually help us get one step closer to that goal and to that dream. And what that does, you guys, is it ties them to me in a big way. Whether they decide to be customers or become consultants, they know they're a part of something huge just by being there. So feel, felt, found, where you were before, what you found when you started your Mary Kay business, and where you're going. So I'm going to encourage you, and it's going to be part of your activities and your homework, to write this down. You want to write down your story. Now you have to fit all of that into a 2-minute time frame.
Or 1.
Yeah. So 1 to 2 minutes, you guys, and it shouldn't take any more than that. Otherwise, it becomes the Jen show or the Colette show or whatever, and that's really not what this is about. So you've got to get good at your story. So when we say Cracker Jack story, it means that you could spit it off. If we said, tell me your story, you could spit it off in a 1 to 2 minute time frame. But if it's taking longer than that, you're losing your audience. You'll notice when you go longer than that, people's brains are already off to another thing, and because people like to talk about themselves in general, truly, and if you're taking so much time on yourself, you've lost their attention. So that's what I would say. Your story is super, super important. Take your story, write it down, and then input your passion levels into it. Know where you're going. Feel confident about that. So remember Colette talking to you last week about acting as if. You're acting as if you're already there. You're acting as if. There was once a time neither me or Colette had earned a company car with the company. Isn't that crazy? There was once a time though. So how did we act before we earned a car? We act as if we had already done it. I pretended to be Colette Parker a lot because my confidence was very low, and I knew she could take me where I was wanting to go. So you're acting as if, I'm earning my first company car I'm earning my very first free car with Mary Kay right this second, and you could be a part of that. And I want to personally thank you for being here and helping me along the way, or however you're going to word that. But that statement at the end, the power statement at the end, I feel like is really important. So yeah,
that was awesome. So ladies, couple thoughts as Jen was talking about. I want to emphasize the same thing, is that don't play it small. Just because you're a newer consultant, or maybe you haven't earned a car, and you hear us talk about these stories, and then you think, okay, but I don't have those kinds of successes under my belt. You don't have to. I mean, I can remember going to my meeting or going to a party, and I had earned the pearl earrings. I can remember talking about my pearl necklace and how fun it was, and it was exciting for me to have a job that I was rewarded for the small things, or the big or small things that I did. I talked about those things. I remember having a ring that I won one time and talking about it at a party. And again, it wasn't all about me, but the thing that I want you to understand is those are things that are motivating to every woman. And you having an I story makes you a real person. It gives you that relatability. And so you don't have to have a great big success. It just needs to be something that gives them a window into you. It needs to be something that makes you relatable, and it gets them a little bit excited about something for themselves. And don't ever short circuit your I story, because I'm here to tell you that I've actually heard people say afterwards, wow, when you told your story, and she maybe doesn't even react to me about it, but when you told your story, that really touched a chord with me. Or I've had other people in my unit say that about their recruiter story. You know, she was working a full-time job, her kids were at daycare all the time, whatever it was, because you will speak directly to the hearts of those people that are there. And everybody relates to different people, you know, a little bit. So that's one thing I want to bring to your attention. And Jen teaching you about having some sort of vision or something. You know, everybody wants to be part of a winning team, right? Nobody wants to be the last person picked for dodgeball or whatever it is. They all want to be part of a winning team. So you want to talk about yourself with success. Now, Jen and I had the same motivator coming up is a company car. It's a big motivator to a lot of people. I had a really nice car and I loved it, but it wasn't free. And the Mary Kay car didn't have a payment to it. So I want you to know that, you know, that car, the car itself wasn't really the big motivator to me. The lack of payment was a big motivator to me, and the achievement to do it. But when I started, and I've earned 18, in fact, today I just got my call and I'm going to go pick up my 18th company car. I'm so excited. But we used to have a flip chart. And I was just telling Jan Harris about this the other day that, you know, we were taught to tell our I story, and you would flip on the page of the flip chart and it would have a picture of the current company car, not the pink Cadillac, but the first, it was a Grand Am back then. And it was this red car, and I would flip it to that page, and it's where I would tell my little bit of an I story, and I would say, I would point at the car and I would say, this is a picture of the car I'm earning. Now, I wasn't on target for my car. I would tell people this is on order. I talked as if, and I'll never forget that very first party after I'd actually earned my company car. I flipped to that page in the flip chart. I started into my I story, and it was very surreal because I pointed at that car and I said, and this is the picture of the company car I just earned. And they all got up from the table and they went to the window and looked out, and, you know, people had to look in there. But those things are awesome, and you don't have to paint. You don't have to have success to paint success, but you do need to paint it to begin with. But I'm going to tell you something it did for me besides your guests at the party. Every time I was affirming those things at a party, it brought those things closer to me. So it was highly important for me to say that on a regular basis. So I want you to sit down and do a 1 minute, 1 to 2 minute I story. Write it out. We want you to give that to us, and we want you to deliver it to us so that we know that you've got your I story in place. Now, your director is going to coach you a little bit on it this week. And we want you to practice it so that it sounds good, it sounds smooth, and I want it to be something that really resonates from you. Just because you heard one of the other directors share her I story in one particular way doesn't necessarily mean that's the way you need to do it. We want it to be personal for you. You want to feel it in your tummy and feel it down to your toes, and we want you to be excited to share it with you. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Louisa? Are you getting anxious about the snow? I'm sorry. We have a big snowstorm, and already an hour ago she was thinking that she needed to head out. of here because she was worried about getting snowed in. So if you need to go, I think Jen and I can figure out the computer maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. Do we just push stop?
Yeah.
And then okay.
And
So
I'll be in the computer.
okay, so be careful, okay? All right.
Bye.
See ya.
See you guys. Thank you.
Okay, do we all get it? You're all going home from the snow? No, but we all get the importance of an I story is super, super important. Any other comments, Jen? Talk about that.
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like we covered the I story. You guys just know it's going to come from your passion levels. It's going to come from you getting just really good. Practice makes permanent is what I always say. Not perfect. Your party's never going to be perfect, but the more that you say something, so just like Colette's saying, I pointed at that picture and she'd been saying it so much, and then finally when she got to say, this is the first company car that I earned, practice makes permanent. So the more that you do something, the more permanent it gets. So I would just say you got to practice, practice, practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just lost my train of thought.
Okay. Opening?
But it was really profound what I was going to share.
Okay, good.
Oh, I know what it was. Okay, so when you get to a certain age, you'll relate to me forgetting my train of thought. If you're getting this video clip, this is for our Pacesetters. Now, this isn't a public video clip. I haven't decided whether I'm going to post it on my website or not, but you're going to be receiving this. What we are asking is that you not pass this on to your sister consultants, etc., unless we give the go-ahead to do that, because we may say things that are not necessarily politically correct in this. And when we do a video for Mary Kay, we have to do that, or we can get ourselves in some hot water. So this is for us delivering to our own unit some thought processes that we have. And here's one of the things I was going to say that's not the politically correct thing that I shouldn't say, but I'm going to. And that is, gals, you need to talk about that I story and the success in Mary Kay, because before I got into Mary Kay, I thought Mary Kay was like glorified Avon. Like, I had no idea women made a six-figure income and that they earned cars and that they were self-supporting. And I had no idea that it had the career potential that Mary Kay has. Now I know that. But if someone hadn't portrayed that to me on the front end at my facial, then I wouldn't have maybe been as intrigued about it. And there's going to be women, career women, sitting at your parties that are already thinking, oh, that's so nice. She's making a little extra money here. She may not even get, unless you share that there's potential with this, she may not fully get that. So do you see that importance of saying that I story? So, okay, so 1 to 2 minute I story shared with your director. She coaches you on it. You practice. Got it? Got it? Got it? Okay. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about opening at a party. Now, I know with this Pacesetters, we're giving you homework and we're giving you training and information. It is really super important that not only are you pushing yourself to do the training, and you're pushing yourself to do the activities, but gals, the things that we teach you to do, you need to implement them immediately. Like, you need to implement them into your presentation, and then you need to be doing it right away. And I'm going to give you an example of that. I was telling you guys that last week that I attempted to do my Power Start when I was a new consultant, and I didn't get any bookings for my bookings, not because I wasn't trained on it, I just didn't do it the way I was supposed to. And so I remember vividly we'd had a new director in Omaha, Nebraska, and she became a director, and so there was a workshop the next day. And so I went to this workshop, and they talked about how to get bookings from your bookings and how to walk out of every party with 2 to 3 bookings already on your books, booked, cemented, and raring to go. And that had never happened to me yet. And I left there at noon, and that particular day I had a party at 2 o'clock. And it was fresh in my mind, and so I went in and I did just exactly what they taught me to do that day. And I walked out of there and I had 3 set, cemented parties on my books after that party, plus good sales in my hand. And I just realized, bam, you need to implement something. Once you get training on something, don't just take it in and say, that's great. You need to practice that and put it into place and do it immediately, because there are certain things that we're going to teach you that work. And if they work for others, they're going to work for you. And so it's really important. See, Louisa, it's really important that you implement these things immediately. Don't just come to training. Take the training, put it in place. If you already have a nice story that basically works for you, then just share it with your director. You're good to go. You've got half your homework done, right? Okay, so I want you to write down on your paper, opening your party. Now, again, I know that this is kind of something that you've probably been trained on at new consultant orientation. Jen's going to team teach here with me a little bit, so she's going to put her 2 cents in because we so think alike. But opening your party is really, of all the pieces of the party, I think it's probably the very most important aspect of the party, because you are going to set the tone of your party by how you open it. You're going to set up what you want to happen by how you open the party. And basically, how you open the party is going to determine what happens at the end of the party. It's that crucial. So it's really important that you get that down. So I want you all to stop and think the potential problems. All of you have been in the field some of you are new, some of you are seasoned, so you've been in the field a lot. But I want you to think of the potential problems. Let's start there. I want you to write down on your paper problems that can happen at a party. Jen is going to give me the feedback. What potential problems would there maybe be at a party? What are things that don't work at a party? Let's actually write them all down.
Things that don't work at a party.
Things that don't work at a party.
Like prices, or what are we talking
about? No. Things that don't work. Okay, so I'll give you one. Okay. Did you zone out?
Yeah.
Okay. Things that don't work at a party. Let's say you didn't have any sales, right? And maybe I'm just not being very clear. Okay, what things, objections and things like that, do you need to overcome at a party? So, for instance, my example that I'm trying to get at is, if people don't buy product, it's usually an objection of, it's too much time, it's too much money, whatever, okay? So your party presentation should overcome any objection that you potentially could have, and it should overcome any problem that you could potentially have in the party presentation. And I learned that pretty early on. And I remember I would say to myself, okay, what objection am I getting repeatedly? And what am I not saying during my presentation that overcomes it? And so I didn't go to, when closing was a struggle, I started getting better during my presentation. And what happened is then it made my closing easy peasy, because I already set myself up for an easy closing. Does this make sense to you? So, another potential problem could be people not really knowing what's going on and the time frame of things and what you're going to do. And so people leave at the end of the party and you don't get a close with them, right? Or, not expressing to them what you're looking for. So open is really strong. So your director and at your sales meeting, we'll talk about steps like setting up your party and, matching foundation and all of that kind of stuff. But and an example of opening your party is, sitting everybody down and getting right to the product. You've already put satin hands on, and then letting them, maybe going around the table and having everybody introduce themselves and tell how they know Susie Q, the hostess. And maybe one thing that they might want to learn. You want your party to not necessarily be just a presentation. You want it to be a big conversation, but you are presenting your product. And after I've done that, then I'll just say to them, now, let me just tell you, I know from half of you've told me that you've tried the product before and the other half of you haven't. And so just to tell you what we're going to do today, we're going to spend about 15 to 20 minutes on skincare. I'm going to teach you how to take care of your skin so that it's gorgeous, it defies the signs of aging, and you have flawless, pretty skin. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to spend about 10 minutes on color. And we're just going to do a simple dash out the door color look today. And then when we're done, I'm going to sit down with each of you individually, discuss your beauty needs, give you the opportunity that you can book a second appointment with me, because today we're just doing simple color, just some cheeks and lips and maybe some mascara. But I want you to know that everybody gets 2 free makeovers from me, and the second makeover is actually a whole custom color look, one that I come in for your face shape, your eye shape. I mean, you will look absolutely awesome. So at the end, I will sit down and I'll help you find a time when we can come in and do your custom color look. And I am going to share with you prices and use up rate as we go through the party today, because even if I go in the mall and I'm not in the market really for anything, but I'm browsing, the first thing that I do if something catches my interest is pick up the price tag and take a look at it to see if it's something that I want to take home with me. And so you may have come just to support our hostess today, and I want to thank you for doing that, because you being here is helps her. But if you came just to have a free facial, great. But the odds are you may fall in love with some things. And so when we get done today, I'll explain these things so that you'll know prices and use up rates, so you know what things that you might be excited about. Okay? Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Okay? Did I forget something?
No, I mean, just overcoming. So Colette talked about, what am I trying to say? What are some of the things that objections you might get while you're closing? So that's why she's going over all of this with you. So she's talking about prices from the very beginning. She's telling them that she's going to be talking about prices. The more comfortable you get with money and you act like it's not a big deal, it's just part of what you're doing, the more comfortable they'll be with you. And so another thing is the price might be an objection that somebody's going to give you, that it's too expensive. So during our openings, something that I do say is Mary Kay is the least expensive quality product you can purchase on the market today. So it's the least expensive quality product you can purchase on the market today. So we don't say it's the cheapest product, on the market, but we say it's the least expensive. So that's going to overcome that price objection right there. And then you being able to talk about prices all the way through is going to give her confidence that is actually a true statement. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you added that to it. It's good. It's really important, gals, when people come to a party and they sit in their seat, and I want you to think like a customer, okay? If you think like a customer, you're going to have a really great party presentation, because we're going to give you a format that we think works really great, but I want you to think like them. They've come to support the hostess. They've come to do that. So you need to thank them for coming to support the hostess. If they've never tried Mary Kay before, they need a general idea of what's going on. And you can say to them, if you fall in love with something, and that's always something I usually put in there, is that if you fall in love with anything today, you're going to be able to take it home with you. I mean, just those little things they get excited about. But you're setting them up to feel comfortable with you, telling them this is the time frame. That helps me to speed up my party presentation. For those of you that have a long party presentation, that your skincare should be taking you 15 minutes tops, 10 minutes on color, and a little bit of closing. And so when I shared the time frame, that helped me to speed up my party presentation. I say, oh, we're about done with our skincare. We've got to hurry and move on so I don't keep you guys here all night. The other thing of setting myself up for the individually close at the end, making it more comfortable. Because what happens, ladies, is if you didn't say that in the beginning, if you didn't say, when we're done here, I'm going to sit down with each of you individually, discuss your beauty needs, what things you may have fell in love with, your personal makeover session, and find a time that's going to work for you. What happens is you've went through all the products, you get to the end, you start presenting products. And if you didn't talk about prices the entire time, then it's like, okay, so let me show you all this stuff and then I'm going to sit down and sell to you. Well, it feels uncomfortable to her. Do you see what I'm saying? But if you tell her at the beginning, this is how this is going to work, then you also made it very comfortable for you to say, okay, so now I'm going to sit down with each of you and mark down everything that we used, talk about your beauty needs, what you fell in love with today, and what you'd like to try at your personal makeover session. Jen, I'm going to start with you. Okay? So you set yourself up for it being comfortable for her. When a woman is comfortable, she will buy and buy big every time. When she is uncomfortable, she'll plant her feet and you aren't going to sell her anything. So ladies, it is important that you understand the psychology of this. This isn't being pushy. This is being anti-pushy, actually. It's being respectful to her. I've actually said, given my whole little story about going to the mall, and I'm going to share with you, use up rate and prices in case you fall in love with something, because if I go into the mall and pick up the price tag, I've actually had customers that are sitting there nodding their head like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, it puts them in a position to where they understand that. And the other thing is they know already, when I said, if you come just to support Jen as the hostess, thank you so much for coming. And if you fall in love with something, I'd love to help you out with it. You have something really great that you say. You say, I'm not here to sell you everything. How do you say that? Because you're going to find different ways of saying different things that might resonate with you. Tell them that.
I tell them at the party in the very beginning, I tell them, no, I want you all to know my goal here today is not to sell you everything I possibly can. It's truly to help you feel educated by the time you walk out the door, what Mary Kay is, what these products do, what it can all be for you, and then find products that are within your budget.
Yeah. See, now, what do you think that just did for a customer? That put her in a place of a comfort, right? She's already feeling comfortable with Jen. So you don't have to be in people's face assertive. In fact, that's not going to work for you. But you do need to have charisma. Now, we talked last week at the Pacesetters about charisma, and Jen has a lot of charisma and enthusiasm. But I want to draw to everybody's attention, just because charisma does not necessarily mean bouncing off the ceiling. Right. Charisma, Stacy Loretson has her own soft, quiet, self-assured charisma. Nola Beckley has got a charisma that is completely her own, and she just reeks of class and warmth and comfortability. I don't even know if that's a word, but I just said it. It's a Colette Parker word. But my point is, your charisma is you being your best self and stepping out and making other people feel good and stepping into your power, not playing it small and being timid. It is you being really good and strong at your appointments. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that charisma is different from everybody. I mean, it's clear when you see Gloria Mayfield Banks, National Sales Director, that she's got charisma, right? But there are other people that have charisma. It's just different. It's just not the same. And so, I want you to be your best self. When you actually take things that you hear from people and you put your best self in a party, you're going to perform at your peak. We want you learning from us, and we want you borrowing words. Now you're going to find that you're a collector of words, now that you're in Mary Kay, better ways of saying something. But if you walk into your party and you are the best Jen Brown that you can be, and you're the best Nola Beckley that you can be, or Charlene Vance, or who your Pacesetters, who are they?
Nancy. Try to think of everyone that's in there.
Well, just a couple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So my point is, when you step in and you are the best you, that's gonna really speak to people, and it's gonna be authentic for you, and so it's gonna come across. But these bullet points that we're telling you about having a strong opening and having a nice story, you need to have something, and it needs to be memorized, ladies. All of this stuff needs to be memorized. Let me say it one more time. It needs to be memorized. Write it down, memorize it, practice it, practice it. If you're not memorizing your closing, presentation, if you're not memorizing your opening presentation or your I story, what's happening is you're spending too much time focus trying to remember what you need to say. Instead of it, you want it to be memorized, not to be canned, but so that it comes out smoothly. And then what you're doing is paying attention to the people at the party. For those of you that have not memorized your party presentation, and I watched Jen do this, she practiced, and she had that thing memorized so that when she went into a party, she was just interacting with the people and could get herself right back on track of the next things that she needed to do. But if you haven't memorized it and practiced it, what's happening is you're spending way too much time thinking about, and you're distracted. Instead of being into the people, you're distracted by, okay, what do I do next? What's my next step? What am I supposed to say right here? Right? So we want you to write these things down, practice them, and memorize it. Any other thought process?
No.
That fireplace is really getting hot.
I like it. I thought it was good. Yeah.
Okay. We're good to go? Okay. We're good to go. I'm asking the computer. Are we good to go? We're funny.
Oh, okay. So okay, you guys, we're going to cut this a little shorter than we would if we were at our normal Pacesetters class, because obviously you're watching this and we want your attention span to be completely focused. But we do have some specific challenges for you this week, and I'm going to go through a couple of them with you, and Colette's also going to talk to you about like the homework and different things that we have already put in place for you this week. So there's a few different things on Mary Kay in Touch that you guys, if you're not really utilizing Mary Kay in Touch, it's a huge tool. It can be a huge benefit for you if you're looking at all the training materials. Now, I've heard multiple people say that there's no people in the computer, so you don't want to be spending a lot of time on the computer, but I've also been taught that 9 to 9 is people time. So you want to be doing your studying before or after those hours and really getting good and always learning something new every single day. I would dare to say that Colette and myself and the majority of our sales directors train themselves and learn. That's one of the reasons our hotline is in place, so that you are learning on a daily basis. But you've got to take personal responsibility for your business and really make sure that you're doing these homework assignments so that you're really, benefiting yourself and you're getting good at these things that we're teaching you. So one of the things that we are going to have you do this week is on the main screen of your Mary Kay In Touch page, on the bottom right hand corner, there is a little tab, or not a tab, but a box that you can click on that says love, and then it says, what does it say?
Ready, set, learn.
Ready, set, learn. Now, this is all about becoming a red jacket. And I know that some of you that are already in this Pacesetters class are already at the red jacket position, but it's still, you can never learn enough as far as moving up the career path. The thing I'm excited about with this program is it's a six-week course, and I don't know how many of you have already looked at it or not, but we are going to implement it into our training because I feel like it's really great, and they have specific activities for you to complete every single week. And so one of the part of your homework this week is for you to get on that tab right there. You're going to watch Rebecca Evans. She's a national sales director. She's going to kind of tell you what this whole program is about. And then below her, there is 4 different activities that the company has already came up with for you, and they've already got the PDFs in place for you to print out. And it's very, very well thought out, and it's very well. Yeah, and we don't have to do it. And it's very well established. But one of the things that is on there this week, so it's not just about teaching you how to book, sell, coach, and recruit. And I love on Stacy's hotline today that it actually, so we're recording this obviously on Friday, but on her hotline today, she talks about, I just lost my train of thought.
Stacy Loretson on the hotline.
Yeah. Oh, your thought process. So she talks about your thought process, and you can be doing things and bettering your skills, but you've also got to be working on what you're thinking about while you're doing it. So this program talks about that, and they talk about, Rebecca Evans is going to talk to you about that team building and sales should be going hand in hand. And Colette's been talking about that for a while, but they've got to go hand in hand, because I've heard consultants say often, I'm going to get really good at sales, I'm going to get really good at sales. And now I'm going to work on team building. I'm going to get really good at that. And their focus should be on both because they really do go hand in hand. So they talk about that today, she talks about that on there. And one of the activities that you will be doing this week is this is one of the things they have you print off. Does everybody see that? So it says my dream paycheck or my dream commission check. How much would you like your monthly commission to be? So on this check, you can actually type your name. You can type your name, and that's part of the challenge. You type your name, the amount that you would want to be, and then you write the date that you would like to see this realized. And then after filling out your dream commission check, be sure to print it out and display it where you can see it often. Doing so can remind you why earning your red jacket is important to you and your family. So you guys, during this Pacesetters course, our objective is to teach you how to maximize your commissions, how to maximize every step of the way. And you're going to be able to do that from selling the product and team building right along with that. So the commission part, money is not always a motivator for everybody, but I can tell you it's a huge benefit when you're able to say to somebody, yes, I make really great money with Mary Kay. It gives you a lot more confidence. And if you're being able to sell the product and team build and maximizing those results, it will make a big difference. So we're excited about these things. So part of your homework for this week is to watch week 1 of what Rebecca Evans is telling you. So that's part of your homework, to watch Rebecca Evans and to complete all 4 activities. So you can take a picture of where you put your commission check on the Pacesetters Facebook page or on the Voxer group, or however you want to do it. And then the other activities, you're supposed to write yourself a letter. So when you complete the 6-week course, it's basically you're writing, it will explain it, but you're supposed to do all those things. There's 2 more things that you'll be doing because there's 4 of them. And one is completing your SWOT analysis, and then there's a critical inch on there where you break down your numbers. So you guys, it is so fantastic, and I'm really excited to hear feedback on the 4 activities that you get completed. So that's what we're doing.
Now, if for those of you that are listening in, you've been this 3rd weekend and you're thinking, oh, they're giving me a lot of homework, gals. These are things that you should be wanting to do anyway, and even doing on your own. I remember it being a newer consultant and sitting down and writing my opening to my party after training. I mean, this entire process, you ladies are in a group that have been hand selected to move up. We are picking you because we see you as middle management, car drivers, or management. And for those of you, if you're serious about your business, you want to do these things and get them in place quickly. I understand when you're getting a lot of information all at one time, it can be overwhelming. Just remember to come back, take it step by step by step, and we had you come into this Pacesetters because we knew you were the kind of person that you weren't going to tiptoe around into the water. You were going to get out on the end of the diving board and dive. And so we want to encourage you to do that. And we want to remind you that this week, again, you're a sharp, savvy businesswoman. And how would a sharp, savvy businesswoman act? I mean, think about the amount of education that people put in, years and years and years of study and homework and all kinds of things before they even go into their work field. The difference is we just do that and make money in the process of that. So if you want to be good, you want to be treating this as if you're going to college. You are trying to be so good at this. So good. Not okay, but so great at it. So understand that the focus is move up the career path. I built my business through parties and facials, but mainly through parties. And you are going to get your sales, make money at your parties, and that's money in hand right now. That's making you money in hand right now. And I remember when Jen was moving up, that was crucially important that she had that money. It wasn't a luxury. At that point, it was do or die.
Yeah.
She didn't have the option to not hold appointments because she had to pay bills with the money that she was making. And so your sales at your parties is money in hand, but team building is where your future is. That's what you are really trying to do here. You cannot, even if you sell lots of product, you can't move up the career path without team building. But the best way that you are going to find your team members is going to be at a party. You can see who the nurturers are there. She's helping the girl next to her do her makeup. You can see the sparkler. You always want to pick those sparklers, those people that you want to work with. It's like basically an interview. You get to kind of look and see and handpick the people that you want to work with, that you want to share with. And closest to the sale of the product is when people are going to be the most excited to want to hear about the business opportunity. They just saw people buy, they just saw you have fun. That's how you're going to build your team. And trying to do it any other way is going to make it a lot more challenging. So we're excited to see what you get done this week. The rest of your challenge is the activity portion of your Pacesetters is the same. It's the same as it was last week. So 5 bookings, select 3 people to interview, and hold 3 selling appointments. I know I told the story last week on myself holding a 5-party week, but I want to tell you I've only done that twice in 3 or 4 times in my Mary Kay career. The bulk of my business has been holding 2 to 3 parties every week. We were just talking the other day. Jen was saying she never, you maybe did, but the bulk of her business, she only held 2 to 3 parties. And yet she moved quickly in the business. So gals, as we're telling you these things, we don't want you to feel like it's this mass of activity. I mean, granted, the more you do, the faster you can go. But I mean, what do you think? On average, how many appointments did you hold?
Definitely 2 to 3. I always, there was a 2-week time frame where everything I held or had booked canceled, and that's why I got together with Colette and we did a booking marathon. But Colette also taught me at the very beginning of my business that first week of every new month you should hold 5 parties, and that way it sets you up for the rest of your month. Because if you hold 5 parties that very first week, then you can actually get bookings from your bookings that will go through the rest of the month, and it will trickle down, and you'll have the referrals for the entire thing. So she actually taught us that to book. Now I can tell you I didn't always do that, but I definitely always shot for that, was to hold those 5 parties the first week and then continue to hold my 2 or 3 every week after that. So but it's not mass amounts of numbers, you guys. It's quality, it's not quantity, all the time.
Okay. Amen, sister. So, your sharper image for the week is to write down your I story, practice it so that you have that verbal communication that is coming across really well, and that's your sharper image. Your self-care for the week is to take some time and get your nails done. Now, it does not have to be false nails. It can be just a well-manicured, short nail, clear polish. If you don't want to mess with nails and that's kind of not you, that's okay. You don't have to have, glitzy nails. You don't have to do all that. But you do need to have a manicured nail situation going on.
You don't want to see that. Okay, I'm going to be getting my nails done. This is not cute.
I didn't even think about that, but the whole time I'm training, she has 3 up. Oh, we have 3 off on this hand.
I have 4 nails total.
Yeah,
right,
no.
So I'm trying to hold my fingers
as I'm
down.
talking, she's like dipping her hands in farther and farther, so it's kind of funny. Did you ever feel that way when you're talking at the sales meeting and your director's talking straight to you? Anyhow, you notice I watched Jen today. You don't talk with your hands like I do. I can't even talk without using my hand.
I actually was trying not to.
Were you?
Because of this.
Because you were watching me?
No, because of this.
Uh-oh. So when you're speaking and you're doing presentations and you're doing parties, people are watching your mouth, they're looking in your eyes, and they're watching your hands. And so it's important. That's part of that sharper image. So pamper yourself. Take a little bit. Reward yourself with getting your nails done, or just sitting down and taking time to have that little professional edge on your hands too. Okay? You guys have an absolutely awesome week. I do want to encourage that you're plugging in with your director. That's kind of expected in this Pacesetters group. Not her following up with you. I mean, she may do that, but we want you seeking us out and, okay, I got this done, I got that done. Here's what somebody said at my last party. What do I say to that? And I'm just going to close with these are what your director needs to hear from you. Okay, I want you to write these things down. When you hold a party, um, these are the things that your director needs to hear. Because this is how I trained Jen. She would call me after a party, maybe the next day, and we would go through these things, and then that's how I would use it to train her. She needs to know, how did the party go? Okay, just general atmosphere, what happened, how many people were there, okay, and whether they like the product. She needs to know how many people booked their own parties from it, and if you got referrals. She needs to know how much product you sold and what you sold, okay, because we're trying to teach you to sell sets and roll-up bags, and so that helps us with that, and who your recruit prospects are. Those 5 things she needs to know after every party. And what will happen is she'll use the real life situations, because we can't cover enough scenarios in a training format to teach you. But we can use what just happened to you to hone your skills the next time. And if you'll write those things down, and I can remember, I would call Artis and I'd say, this gal said this to me last night, this objection to buying the product. I didn't even know what to say to that. I didn't even know how to handle that. And she would tell me word for word, and then next time I was clipped, and it worked. So we need those 5 things for you to share. So seek out your director, share with her this week. Hope we haven't given you too much to put you on overload, but we hope that you are moving up the career path, and we can't wait to have you as directors with us, and your dream check to be a reality.
Very good. Bye.
See ya.